Rees-Mogg, a potential future leader of the Conservative Party, a potential Prime Minister?
I'm just not buying it. I'm sorry, I'm just not buying it. But you know what? There is a guy who has been emailing me in those kind of capital letter weirdo emails for years, saying that there's a giant conspiracy to propel Jacob Rees-Mogg to Downing Street.
For years? When
years.
did it start?
It started when I was like deputy political editor on the Sunday Times about 10 years ago. So it may just be that this guy whose emails I have been routinely binning actually had the world's best prediction of politics, and I should have taken money out on it.
He stood by his principles and...
His principles, what, banning abortion altogether, even for women who've been raped? I mean, I'm just going to cut to the chase. Jacob Rees-Mogg would be one of my worst nightmares as Prime Minister, given where he stands on important women's rights issues, important social issues like abortion, like homosexuality. I think he'd make a dreadful Prime Minister and a dreadful leader of the Tory party. I sort of agree with Isabel, can't really see it happening. The slight niggle at the back of my mind is that that's what everyone said about Jeremy Corbyn about 3 years ago. 3 years ago, someone had said to you,
that's true.
Jeremy Corbyn's going to be leader of the Labour Party and look like he's in with a really fair shot at being our next Prime Minister.
Yeah, we would all have laughed.
People would have, people would have laughed you out of the shop. So who knows?
I mean, he's been around for quite a long time, so he might just be
So had Jeremy Corbyn. So
yes, there are some parallels here. Both of them are on the extremes of their party.
Yeah, one thing I would say is Jacob Rees-Mogg is a highly, highly intelligent man.
And very successful man outside of politics as well.
Yeah, I'm not convinced
is he?
that Jeremy
What
Corbyn
you mean in terms of...
He's a financier.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he's a multi-millionaire, or at least a millionaire.
Well, I'm not sure that is all entirely self-made. I think we can probably speculate, or more than speculate, that some of that is hereditary.
Indeed. Front page of The Sun, a story about the singer Selena Gomez, who has had a kidney transplant. It was donated by one of her best friends.
Yeah, so this is it's a very serious story. So Selena Gomez has come out and said that she's, I think it was a couple of years ago, she said that she's came out and said that she's suffering from an autoimmune condition called lupus, which works by attacking the body's own organs. It's quite rare. It's thought to be hereditary. I think 90% of sufferers are women. You can tell I did some reading up on it before coming on air.
I was just going to say, you sound so clued up on this. I have to say, she did just Google it.
I did just Google it, but but good for Selena Gomez. She came out, she tweeted about her transplant, tweeted a picture of herself in the hospital bed. It's such a lovely picture, I think. Yeah. I have to pass comment on the fact that The Sun have chosen to put this story on the front page with a sexy picture of her in what looks like a bikini, when they could have used a picture like this that she tweeted out herself, which I think I'd have much preferred to have seen.
Well, it's much more interesting.
Yeah.
The picture of her in hospital with her friends is just a more striking picture, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I guess you can say that The Sun knows its readership. So,
I think that's a fair comment.
Okay, let's talk about, stay with The Sun. There's a story which is on its front page about Big Blubber. What's this one about?
So this is a story about obesity, and the government is apparently going to recommend type 2 diabetes tests for everyone over 40. Now, this sounds like a brilliant idea to me. We know rates of obesity are rising, rates of type 2 diabetes are rising, and the thing about type 2 diabetes is that it itself changes the body's metabolism. So you're at risk of developing type 2 diabetes if you're overweight. But once you get it, that makes you even more likely to become overweight. So it's a vicious cycle. It's a relatively simple test. Prevention has to be the name of the game when it comes to obesity and type 2 diabetes. So everything the NHS can do to catch people at risk of it, to catch it early, to get in there with interventions like encouraging people to eat more healthily, sending them to cookery classes, I think is on the front page of the Times.
I think
it's a great idea. It's so expensive. It costs the economy billions and billions of pounds a year, and just a little spent on prevention and encouraging people to eat more healthily could save the NHS
But vast resources are already put into encouraging people to eat healthily. And the fact
they're not.
is.
No, they're not at
Of
all.
course they are. Are you not aware of 5-a-day campaigns?
Oh, I don't think it was that expensive though, Isabel, compared to the
These are educational
I think it's
initiatives that
£13
have
billion a
utterly
year that
failed.
obesity costs the NHS. Yeah, because you have to do behaviour change right. And actually, I think 5 a day, there's some evidence that its simplicity made it quite effective. But just blitzing people with messages about, you know, if they're fat, you're at risk of dying is not going to be what's effective to
Isabel, do
changing
you not
behaviour.
think like cookery classes and encouraging people to eat healthy?
Yeah, Isabel.
No, I think that's all out there already. I think we need to get a little bit less tolerant. There was a Daily Mail writer that got absolutely blasted for suggesting that there's too much tolerance of obesity, and I think she was absolutely right. I didn't read
There's
her...
no tolerance of obesity. We are a nation of fat shamers,
Maybe
Isabel.
it's time to have a fat tax, Sonia. How about that?
Just very briefly,
I
about
say
the issue
no
of
to
getting
a fat
people
tax.
who are considered to be obese to pay for their treatments.
Well, what I think is
Inhumane
a
and
more
ineffective.
sensible option is, and a lot of NHS trusts are already doing this, Sonia,
For money reasons.
is to refuse to give certain operations to people until they've lost weight because the clinical outcomes are not so good. There is an absolute case for that, and many trusts are already doing it.
So what trusts are doing, and actually there are a lot of doctors, including a lot of the Royal Colleges, including the Royal College of Surgeons, that have spoken out against this because it's actually rationing for monetary reasons. That's what NHS trusts are doing.
No,
They're
it's
not
not.
doing
It's
it.
about whether
They're
you're gonna
not
do
doing it
well
for
out of
clinical
the
reasons,
operation.
and it's actually incredibly cruel because
Sonia,
if you're
you're talking
very
an absolute load of
I'm
rot.
not. I'm not.
You
I've
are.
actually I wrote a column on this 2 weeks ago,
it's
Isabel.
a
and I
very
quoted the Royal
misinformed
College.
column.
Sonia, Isabel, we
surgeons
shall
on it.
agree
Talking
to
nonsense.
disagree
Dear,
on this.
dear.
It was so nice to see you agreeing about the issue of defence
didn't last
spending a
long,
few
did
minutes
it?
ago. It didn't last long at all. Good to see you both. We'll see you in about half an hour or so. Let's have a look at the weather.